Hello and welcome, new and true friends, to Living with Intention. I am April Wyatt, your wellness advocate, and I am very excited to have you here today as we talk about the power of play. And before we begin, if you could just hit that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate it. So that way I know this is something that you are interested in. So I do have a question for you. When is the last time that you gave yourself permission to just goof off and play? Really think about that. You really let yourself go in the moment and whatever it is that, brings you pleasure. And it seems that when we get older, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to do tasks, to get into the grind and get things done instead of giving back to ourselves. And sure, we might play with our kids, we might play with our pets, our animals, but really, what are you doing when you're playing with them as well? Are you really present when you're in that act of play? Are you really enjoying it? Or are you thinking, okay, I have like 10 minutes, let's go out, throw the frisbee, and then I got to get back inside and get back to work or get back to wherever you need to go to. So, to put it into perspective, I've invited a wonderful friend and soul of mine, Megan Hill, who I've known since 2018 through our biodynamic breathwork training. And I immediately connected with Megan during a dance exercise that we were experimenting with during the training. And we literally played together through the expression of dance. It was just such a lovely, wonderful experience. And she's actually helped support me uh, throughout the process of when the global shift happened because she held some online dance kind of parties. And that kept me going and that kept me engaged and kept that energy flowing. And just that connection with her was just a wonderful experience. So, to give you a little background about Megan, she is a certified biodynamic breathwork practitioner and also a Sophia Circle journey leader. And through her own healing from years of restriction, she now brings a liberated view of the world through dance, accessing wisdom of the body and raising energies to experience pure joy and excitement of life. So thank you, Megan. Thank you for accepting my invitation to come out and play with us today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, April. I am
Yes.
grateful to be here, remembering our time together dancing on the dance floor and playing. Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, and it's so needed and I think that's the big thing about having you here is how you have experienced a transformation through dance. And before we get into that and all the playful things, can you just give a little bit more information about yourself, your story, and how you got to where you are now?
Hmm. Well, I believe, let's see, if we're going to be going into the journey of dance, I started quite young, being in dance classes, and I was always dancing around my living room, putting on music. And I remember putting on the record player and just like expressing. And it was just a really great memories for me. And so I started going into dance classes, but I found a lot of restriction in those dance classes and a lot of training that happened with classical ballet and all these different styles. And I started to feel a lot more restriction in it. And even though I dance like every day in training, I never considered myself a dancer until maybe the last 6 years, where I kind of got out of the technical style of dance and just allow myself to express. And now I'm like, I feel like I was when I was three again, just dancing and creating and being very present in the moment. So um, that has been a very long journey to get to really feel comfortable with what I believe dance is about, which is accessing joy, creation in the moment, play, you know, and being accepting of ourselves. And that's a journey.
And just you saying accepting of ourselves, there's so much about judgment or shame, judgment of what we're doing, shame of our bodies even, and how it's moving. Yeah,
Yeah.
can you unpack a little bit more about that, of what you've witnessed while working with people through the expression of dance?
Yeah, there's a lot of you know, concepts that there's a right way to dance, or that we are supposed to have steps, or there's supposed to be, you know, certain ways that we show up when we're on the dance floor, or if we're in a dance class. And really, to me, it's so much dance, or yeah, it's to do with music, and that expression, and allowing ourselves to feel like emotion. There, this it actually takes me back to this. I was doing Egyptian belly dance. I was taking that, and I remember there was this moment where I heard that women used to dance in their kitchens just for fun. And this is what they were doing. They were shaking their hips, they were bending. And I was like, there was like this spark that just went, I mean, you can just, people created these dances from just doing it, from feeling the music and feeling their bodies. And I was like, wow, that's like the true creation of dance to me. It was just people enjoying themselves, being in community, having, you know, having sounds and music, and being together. And that really sparked something in me that kind of led me to like, okay, so if it's not all the technical steps, and it's not that, what am I learning when I'm going? And really, if you go to Latin dance class, or any style of dance class, it's really to do with like culture, and like getting in touch with the culture and the way that they express themselves in their daily, you know, in their lives in general. It's a lot to do with that.
Mm,
um, and that's where we can just like let go of the concepts that there's a necessarily a right way. You know, if there's music playing, that we can allow ourselves just to go into our body and see how it wants to move us. How do we want to experience it? What does our body want to do? That's probably where dance came from. Yeah, there wasn't steps. It was just us having fun, enjoying ourselves together. So,
exactly. And as you said, the music, I'm sure first came the music
mm-hmm.
and, a drum or a rattle or, whatever thousands of years ago. And then, people moving their bodies to it. And there's just something about being entranced when you are really physically present while dancing. I've experienced that. And that's when you don't even know what your body's doing and you're
Yes.
just moving with the beat.
Mm-hmm. That to me is like real, that feels like dance to me, like play.
Mhm.
It's like being the observer of yourself almost in a way, and just witnessing and allowing. That's play, creativity.
Yeah, and then I believe that it also, those who are aware of chakras or not, it's just about the energy and coming from the sacral, the creativity, that's your sexuality, that's your self-expression, and really that's the hips, right? That's the pelvis that's moving, and those who are watching on YouTube, you can see me kind of moving when I'm talking about it, because how can you not move when you're talking about it? That's just how I work. Uh, so yeah, and going back to what you had said, Megan, I think is really important, is when you first started and there more of the rigidity of doing it a certain way, having, you got to follow these steps and all that. And then once you broke free of that, of the rigid, and it has to look a certain way, I have to look a certain way,
Mm.
and in the context of dance being a performance, people are on stage, people are watching you. I think that's also what really um, keeps people in that box of not wanting to express, look stupid,
Yeah.
look weird, whatever that is.
Yeah, yeah, that's beautifully said. Yeah, that's true because it was a performance art. They're performance art. So not believe that we're supposed to live up to that expectation or that we're supposed to be like that. Like that's not the way what dance for ourselves is and with others in community. It's about us expressing ourselves, being creative
Mm.
and communicating, like co-creating together.
You're speaking my language, girlfriend. And you said something perfect about, basically who are you dancing for? Are you dancing for yourself or are you dancing to perform for approval?
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
And,
that's
and
that's where people get stuck.
yeah, that's true. Yeah. And it is about, it's like, I think that's, yeah, it's like going into our bodies and like expressing for ourselves, and being able to be willing to, just experience, different parts of ourselves wanting to move in different ways,
Mhm.
and it's also so good for our brains. Like I think of like how good it is to be able to just allow and be in the moment of moving right side, left side, up, down, like all these different levels, the way that the body can, use the spinal movements and the hips when we let ourselves and know that like it's about flow and flow of energy and that it's so healing for all of our senses, all of our being.
And just as you said, the brain, where you're moving, you're getting more oxygen, more blood flow, and then that's opening, right, up for creativity. It's getting out of the sympathetic nervous system, the fight, flight, or freeze, and more relaxed and just allowing it to flow. Then that's where the spontaneity and the creativity and that vibrant energy. I mean, people just come alive.
Mhm. And it's and I like when you're sharing that, I was like, it's definitely before I start doing something where I start to feel like tense or restricted or coming on to like to speak about something. It's like shaking and moving our bodies, and just allowing ourselves like whatever has to move. I mean, you'll feel so much better just to be able to show up. So for any type of stress, just
Mm,
stress in general, like no matter what that is, giving
yes, it
ourselves
is an immediate. Sorry,
it's
go ahead.
yeah, like it is immediate, like what you were saying. Yeah, it just happens. We can do it very quickly. We let ourselves just shake, move, and then not question why. Like there doesn't have to be a why. Or put on a piece of music. I was thinking, like, and just dance to that for 3 minutes a day, even.
I think that's a wonderful self-care too. I think that would be great if everybody could do that. It just helps to reset and just let go of those tensions that your body's already holding on to, as I've talked about in so many previous podcasts about how our body is constantly responding to thought. And so when we're thinking, oh, I have so much to do today, and I got to do this, and I got to take the kids here, and then I still have to pay bills, and all those things, then the body's going to start, compressing in and
Mhm.
holding all that for you because that's its job. It's getting ready for whatever you're saying you need to do. And so by just allowing, just as you said, Megan, for those 3 minutes, put on some music, whatever it is, and just let that go.
Mhm.
Even say out loud, like, I'm dancing this out.
Yeah.
Have my own dance party. Dance like no one's watching, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because nobody is watching. Even when we're dancing with other people, most of the time people are dancing with themselves, right? Like they're very, they're in there. You can make that communication, connection with the eyes or something when you're dancing with somebody, but lots of times it's our own like, how can I try this out? How does this feel, for me? How would I like to move? Those are good questions to ask if we don't do that already, of course. Like, how is it? What does that music bring it?
Yes. Okay, so now that you're talking about these questions, do you mind just kind of maybe walking somebody who has never really danced, or maybe they go to a wedding and they do like a slow dance with somebody and they think that's dancing.
Mhm.
Um, can you kind of walk people through like maybe what could that look like for them of just exploring dance?
So, an exercise that kind of comes to mind, like a good way of like getting in tune with our bodies, is like putting on a piece of music, if we had a piece of music, and beginning to just like put on at a sound that at a frequency that is pretty strong, like something that we can feel it, and start to ask, starting like at your toes, like how do my feet want to move to this? Do are my feet feeling this? Do my ankles want to move? Does my toe want to tap? And just start asking like questions of your body, like, and then moving up to your knees, like, do my knees, how do my knees want to move right now? How do they want to dance to this? It's kind of breaking ourselves into different parts, moving into our pelvis, and it's like, do our hips want to move side to side? Do they want to go forward and back? Do they want to go in circles? And then moving up into like the ribs or the belly, like just in going in and just going, how does my chest want to move? Am I feeling like that beat and like that rhythm in my heart? Like, do I want to beat with it? Do I want to slide side to side? And then just connecting again then with our shoulders, our arms, and asking like, how does this want to move? You know, and then just noticing and
Mm.
witnessing how the music is starting to enliven our different parts of ourselves. Maybe parts of ourselves like, I don't want to dance, maybe I don't want to play. Or it's like, okay, fine then. You don't have to, left knee. I know you're tired. That's okay. But the right knee really wants to dance, So then it's like, okay, fine. Right knee, you move, And even if I'm saying that, I'm thinking about it going, the right knee starts to move. That will also like provide an opportunity for the hips to move in a different way, because then the left knee is not in cooperation. So then the hips, you go up there and you're like, okay, well, this left knee's not moving, but that means my right hip, it wants to move like that. And then it actually provides movement in other parts. And that's part of like the exploration and the play that we can invite, it's like witnessing. It's like, it's okay to have parts that don't want to dance.
Mm.
That's okay.
I
Because
so
that
love that. Yeah.
builds on top of the other aspects that might want to dance. So you have one hand that wants to twirl, maybe you have your head wants to bob, and asking and just noticing. At the end you'd be pretty happy, and seeing that it's okay to feel joy and like playfulness and excitement and that, and you could have whatever kind of music you like on. It's actually kind of fun without music
Yeah, we were just having a moment there. I mean, I hope people were listening and thinking about that and moving their foot or, moving, going up the body and seeing just, what's happening there for them.
too.
Yeah. And also I think that what's important is just to laugh at yourself, when you're doing all of a sudden you find yourself doing the sprinkler or something, just something funny, and then just laugh, because this is you, who cares what you're doing? This is what play is all about. It's about exploring, it's about creativity, it's about being with yourself and being comfortable in that
Mhm.
moment.
Absolutely. Yeah, so important. And yeah, to be able to laugh at ourselves and to be able to just like those questions of like, why does this not want to do this? Well, whatever, and keep going. And yeah, yeah, it makes me joyful just thinking about it. So much
Yeah,
fun.
just keep going. And one day it could be 3 minutes, and then one day you might find yourself dancing away on a playlist for 20 minutes. Who knows? But it's just you meeting yourself where you're at
Mhm.
and then just seeing what wants to move. I really like that idea, Megan. I didn't even think about that. I guess me and how I work, it's like I just jump in there as you've seen me. And
Yeah,
I just start moving around and doing the things.
I love
Um,
that.
it just, checking out the waters, checking out the energy, and making that connection with myself. And I think for me and how I work is, also connecting with other people.
Mhm.
And
Yes.
so that's what's nice is when you said that about just being with yourself and checking the different parts, because I think most people think I need a partner to dance with, or I need
Mhm.
to go somewhere to dance.
Yeah. Yeah. And that, well, that becomes very restricting to like just this like we have to be with other people to dance. And it's like, no. And the more that we can open up to our own selves, like in a way that even in doing that exercise or just being able to dance and become more accepting with us, then when we go out and we're with other people, then we are dancing with them. We're accepting of ourselves. They then too will be accepting of us, more so. So we won't have to feel that judgment
Mm,
coming at us because we're not doing it right or it's supposed to be a certain way because we know that it's about we're playing and it's we know what wants to happen in us, what doesn't want to happen in us, and we're more in tune with that. As we're talking about this, I was thinking about you know how like all this is like frequency, right? And it's all like opportunities. You could look at it like emotions, but like to be able to embody and embrace more of that without even dancing. Like I talk about it from dance. That was the greatest way for me to come in tune with it. But even if we notice that you and I are talking and we can still kind of embody that feeling of dance, of joy, of excitement, like it's making me smile, I'm not even doing it.
mhm,
I'm not actually doing the steps or moving. And that's like the power that we have that we can hold and carry, that we can, if we can allow ourselves to accept that in ourselves, then we can start moving it in and using it more often in our daily life. When we have it, we're more in control of and empowered in that frequency and that vibration so we can continue to use it uh, as our own, you know and that will
mhm.
enlighten our days. It will make our relationships so much better, with anywhere we are. So it's so helpful. We could just bring it in and go, you know what, I want to embody this feeling, that feeling that I've allowed in myself. And let's use this now
Mm,
to more in control of our emotional states and the way we go out through our day.
yes, really. And I call it putting your attention on your intention of, how am I, you know, working with the world, with the universe, with your higher self, whatever you believe in,
Mhm.
and how am I embodying that? What presence am I bringing forward? Because we are the ripple effect, as you said, when people are dancing together, and if you feel safe and just playful, then other people will feel safe and be open to expand, and then that's that connection, that's that energetic exchange, as you were just sharing, Megan. That was perfect.
I think, yeah, I see that all the time in like when I am dancing with people like this. I've embraced it so much that like inside of myself and the way that I move, that getting onto like I do a lot of ecstatic dance now, but you're getting onto that dance floor where maybe people are there for their internal healing, but just making that eye contact and starting to that connection where they're like, oh, 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 it's okay, and then we can start to play a little bit and enjoy each other. Because not all, yeah, there's so many different choices of dance and places that we can go for conscious movement and connection out there too. Like wherever we are, I think that there's so many choices, different ways of doing it, and that giving us the opportunity to go out and just try something new. Yeah, it's like I think of that like in the sense of play. It's like saying yes to trying something new. It's like, you know what, just give it a try, see what happens. We laugh at ourselves, we fall, we've done all these things before. At some point we've done it, right? Like maybe we've covered it up and said, oh, I don't want to remember I did that, but it's happened. So you've done it, so why not? That's yeah, saying yes to things that we would not normally do. It's a form of like,
Yeah, that's that letting go of the rigid of scheduling of that and allow that playfulness to come out. And it really enhances, like, I believe, our own relationship to self.
yeah, it does. And then like just that, like just the welcoming of our own selves, saying yes to our own selves, and then being able to, yeah, like we have our external world, but then we have that internal world that we're learning. And the more that we say yes, the more that we can follow and flow. Continue to try new things.
Exactly.
Yeah. And being curious with ourselves.
Mm.
How do I show up to this? Being okay with that. Because it's you showing up. You'd be nervous. You could be
Yeah.
whatever, you could be like, I had no idea what I'm doing, but it's really about you, how you're showing up
Mm.
with that.
Mhm. Yes, it is. And really, I call it working from the inside out. That resonance, the energy, how are you rippling out into the world? And by being self-aware of your energy, and when you're feeling lower vibrations or that tension, tightness, that's your body, kind of saying, hey, I need a little movement here.
Yeah.
So just by inviting that dance or however the self-expression happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I love singing. I'll do or humming to things like jobs around the house I don't necessarily like doing. Like maybe washing the dishes or sweeping the floor or something like that, where I'm like, okay, these are things like yes, you can love the pride that it's going to look really nice, but the act of doing it is different than what it feels like when it's done. So like,
Mm.
I will do, just start humming a tune, when I'm going and it while I'm doing it, and it just kind of makes things go a little bit faster, a little bit quicker, in the sense of time, because I'm more present in it. I'm enjoying it. And then all of a sudden it's done. And then I get to look at it and go, and it looks good. It felt
And
good
then
doing it.
dance.
And it looks really good. Yay.
Yeah, we need to celebrate ourselves more too. And that the playfulness, just being open, and I also the humming or the singing, that's also part of play. And I've heard somebody mention, I forgot who it is, but they suggest to sing that do re mi fa sol la ti do, like to sing that, because that also opens up energies, and it's a fun Sound of Music song. I think it's from the Sound of Music.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. I just started to really want to sing it there. But I can't do the high pitch one. So when I get up to the high pitch, Then I get to laugh at myself, right? Because I can't do that, but it's still fun.
It is fun. And
Try.
that's what it's all about, right? The playfulness, the inviting more fun into our lives because then we feel lighter. We feel more like an effervescent, light, bubbly, just open, and we are more willing to say yes to other things too when we're in that state of being. So, Megan, I have a question for you.
Mhm.
What do you do? Well, you just said a little something about the humming when you're doing chores, but what's another act of play? What's something that you do to invite more play into your life?
Oh, well, I really love nature, observing nature, like going out and like, I say like people are like, oh, I'm a hiker, I'm a jogger, like I get outside. I'm like, nah, I'm a sitter.
Mm,
So I'm like, I walk to the place that I want to sit, and then I sit there and I observe and I watch and I listen, and I just am curious. And that is, it's just so much fun to watch and to be present with, like, how the ants are walking across the ground. They're all carrying all this food. It's like, where are you guys going? Like, what are you doing? Like, you're so busy. Or just listening to, like, hearing the birds and the chipmunks as they're chasing each other, and it's like, oh, those guys are having a fight. Like, oh, somebody's not very happy. Just you listening and observing what's going on, and not, yeah, just like staying present with it, because there's so much in nature that's happening all the time. So it's playing. It's always moving. It's always creating. It's always flowing. You know, just watching the leaves as they're moving. And as the winds connecting with them and having them move. It's all in this connectiveness. So that's a really big one, and that it has been, yeah, for accessing like more joy in
mm,
general. You can find so much joy in nature just from sitting there observing. So, and then of course I love to dance, and I make sure that it's in there. And I think my body has to move and dance, in some way. And if it's with music or if it's without. So lots of times in the morning, like for a practice, I'll just kind of get up and I do my stretching. And then we'll start moving my shoulders and just letting them kind of rotate, and the elbows, and just letting myself just flow and allow that to
mm,
expand and contract, and just finding places. It's like, if I find somewhere that I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I want to just stay here, stretch, take a few deep breaths, breathe into that, and do that and just allowing just like the whole spine, the body, the shoulders. That's how I start, just to rotate, and just noticing it just really wakes me up in the morning. Um, and that's probably a pretty regular routine that I do. And I don't know what it is. It just feels flowy and good. And it just starts out where it's not exercise. It's not, making myself do something, like yoga or qigong. For me, it's just like, how do I just want to wake up in the day? How do I want to stretch? What does my body want to move and rotate? How can I expand after being in such a relaxed state? Like, how can I? And it's a good way for me to start the day. Yeah.
mhm. Yes, and just getting back into your body. Yeah, and the somatic benefits, right? You're really working with the muscles and the ligaments and the fascia and
The
yeah,
organs
just
and the breath, because
mm,
my breathing will change in different spots. I just kind of notice, and sometimes I sigh, let out a little nice little sigh, and just kind of let that 5 minutes of self exploration. And yeah, 100%. And it works. Maybe it's a little bit longer than 5 minutes. It could be just 5 minutes. Sometimes because you get lost in space. I get lost in my body. I'm like, oh yeah, let's go and find out how this is. So how this feels. But that's that nature and my regular dance
So it
class.
sounds like when you shared that about connecting with nature and the kind of unwinding in the morning, that's kind of a like a meditative practice too, would you say?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's a way to internalize, like to focus on self in a way, before I enter out into a world where it's asking me for things and things. Like it's a way for me to go inside, to access who I am, like how I am today, and like honoring myself, honoring who I am, like the way I am right now, being present with me before I start going out to be all these other things for all these other people in my life. So I think, yeah, for me, morning practices are huge,
Mm.
whatever way that is, just to come into my space.
And that builds such a great foundation to start the day.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of sets you up to be able to, like you said, what when I go out into the world, you're able to be more receptive instead of reactionary about things.
Yeah. Because I feel like I've given to myself already. Like I've noticed myself, I've witnessed what's there today, and maybe it's not, I'm not trying to change it either. I'm not trying
Say
to
that
say,
again.
I'm not trying to change myself. I'm observing and noticing how I am today, how I am feeling, and then knowing like who I am at the beginning of the day. Like this is me, and I don't want to change what it is. I just notice and observe. So then, because when you're talking about triggers or like having other people come into our space, like we can be then aware. Like today I'm in a very low energy state. No, maybe I don't have a lot of energy today. I'm feeling, and that's okay, and I'm accepting of that today. So if we
Mm.
start to notice that there's reactions happening on the outside of the world, I already, if I can remind myself, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm in a low energy state today. I felt that already. Maybe I reacted in a way, but that maybe it wasn't so good. But being compassionate, I guess, with ourselves in that way, not trying to change us into something else. It's like this is how I felt today. And that can change, of course. Like you don't have to stick to I'm grumpy today, I'm gonna be grumpy the whole day. But if you notice you have kind of grumpy tendencies when you woke up and you're just kind of feeling like that, you can be like, oh yeah, you know, maybe I've reacted in a way that I kind of started out being a little grumpy today. I didn't notice that, I'm finding like that forgiveness for ourselves for maybe ways that we've reacted and that it's okay. And we have the next day where we get to wake up and that day we feel, we're feeling wonderful and light. And it's like
Mhm.
today, this is how I feel. And it can change and we can shift.
Yes,
And
the shift. And and I think when you were describing that, it's more also, it reminded me of just to let go of judgment of how we're feeling. When you said accept it, and it's not like, why am I always blah, 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 or it's because of this person, that's why I'm feeling this way, or, that type of thing. It's more of, let's just tune in here and see how I'm feeling and witnessing it and accepting it and without the judgment. So that way, maybe the next day or sooner than later, basically, you will wake up feeling a little bit more at ease, and because you've accepted it and you've allowed that energy to work through. Especially, I'm going to use that, checking in with my body. How does my feet want to move? Just implementing that as well, too.
mm-hmm. Yeah, using that in the morning
Mhm.
practice of some sort. Yeah, that's good for you. Yeah, I agree.
Because
Yeah.
I think so many people, the alarm clock goes off and they're just right away all the things that they didn't do yesterday that they still need to do today, and then what else is happening in the future, and they're all those things are just really draining and putting a lot of pressure. And so when we can invite just a little space of curiosity, of playfulness, of being present the best you can, then things will go a lot more smoothly, I believe.
Mhm. And and if it doesn't, we're more accepting of ourselves when it's not.
Laugh, right? Laugh like, oh,
Of
there it
course.
is again. It keeps showing up for me.
Exactly. And it's not them, it's actually me. Darn, this follows me around. Hello again. Whatever you are that I've liked to judge before. Hey,
Yes.
so
Oh,
it's all good. And yeah, yeah, it's all part of this beautiful human existence.
mm.
You
And
know?
speaking of beautiful human existences, now that we've talked about play and the benefits and just, shifting with that, um, can you share a little bit more about some other gifts that you have to offer people?
Mm, yes, I do offer, like you had mentioned, biodynamic breathwork for trauma release. And I do that quite a bit in person, but on occasion, maybe once a month or so, I'll have one online as well. And then I'm starting a new course at the end of June. I have two things coming up at the end of June. So I'm starting like a somatic ac- uh, accessing our physical blueprints through the somatics of the chakras.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it will be an exploration of the physical chakras. So going in and finding, not telling, like saying, well, you're my root chakra, you feel this, but going in and actually finding out what's present through like voice, movement, self touch, spontaneous like dance and movement, just to see how we want to move. And so I'll be offering that at the end of June. That's a new course
And do
coming.
people need to have any knowledge about chakras for this experience?
No,
Okay.
they don't. Actually, in a way, it's kind of nice if they don't. But they can bring that too, because I'm trying to get like people to experience their own physical, like what are they holding in this area of their body? What, where is there pain in there? How does it sound? Not trying to tune it to what, say, the ideal sound of a chakra would be, but what does yours sound like? What does yours feel
Mm.
like? Being present with like what is available, what is yours, and there'll be journaling as well involved in that, so we can start just like mapping that out and just noticing, what are we holding, and then we'll be able to go through it again. Like if you go through the course, it's something that we can then keep learning about ourselves and just noticing what's true, what's present, you know.
Oh,
Um,
I love the idea of what is, in your body, how is this feeling versus, yeah, the iconic of this is these chakras, this is what it should be like, because it's just like looking at a fitness expert, saying you have to look like this. And it's not practical because of our own experiences and our genetic makeups and all the things.
mhm,
So I really love that, Megan, how you're just meeting our bodies where they're at and just exploring in those specific areas what is there for you.
yes,
Mm,
I'm really excited to bring that out. So
yeah, and that's going to be a virtual event?
that will be, yes.
Okay, great. I'll
Yeah,
make sure that we'll have your website on the description so people can check in for that.
Wonderful. Yeah.
And what other playful goodies do you have?
Sorry. So on the summer solstice, I'll be beginning a new Sophia Circle journey. So if there's people on here that are interested more into alignment of being our higher selves, ascension process, um, empowerment, self-empowerment, I'll be starting a new one of those on the summer solstice. And that's
And when is the summer solstice for those that aren't aware?
yeah, it's I think it's like June 22nd is when I'm starting. It's like a Thursday, so it might be the day after. That's also available on my website, so you can look that up and find out more about that. And I do in-person events, so that the Sophia Circle is online, and I run ecstatic dances regularly in my community in a couple places, as well as biodynamic breathwork for trauma
And
release group experiences.
then I forgot to share where you're located when I first introduced you. Can you share with our listeners?
Yes, so I live outside of Kingston, Ontario, Canada, so in a town called Westport. So that's where I'm located.
Great. So those Canadian um, people can attend, or if you feel like taking an adventure up north, that'd be a beautiful time of the year, June.
Yeah,
Uh,
June and July, summer.
yeah.
I offer small retreats out of my home too. So on my property here, we have a large pond. And so I do offer retreats here as well, called Indigo retreats. So
And what entails in the Indigo retreats? What do you do there?
so I offer they're just weekend retreats. So we offer like food, like camping accommodations. We start with dance, movement, inviting our inner child and investigating our inner teenager through movement and dance, and we'll open up that way. And then we go into breath work in the afternoon after we've had some good food, and ecstatic dances at night on the fire and some ceremonies. Also involve sound healing, like a geodesic dome on the property. So we frequency in after the retreat. Men and women are welcome. That's also on my website. I just run maybe 4 of those a year here.
Oh, that
Yeah,
sounds amazing.
yeah. In the wilderness with wonderful animals and nature everywhere because you can't get
Yes.
where I am. So, yeah.
Ah, great. Oh, Megan, I'm just so excited that you accepted the invitation to come play with us today and share your beautiful essence and how you can support others through dance, play, through breath work and the Sophia journeys, and then that indigo retreats. Wow, those sound very powerful. And just making that connection with community is so important. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It makes me feel alive to be with other people
Mhm.
too. It just brings so many more opportunities to learn about ourselves.
Exactly. Ah, so those that are interested in connecting with you to maybe ask you some questions or reach out, what is your contact information?
So my website is www.meganhill.biz, B-I-Z.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, my friend, for coming and again playing with us and sharing your gifts. And those of you who are listening or watching, please hit subscribe, Leave some comments. Let us know what you enjoyed about this conversation and also share how you are utilizing the power of play as you continue to work from the inside out. So until next time, my friends, be well.